Hello everybody, welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator once again. We are going to be taking an A320neo here in Volaris colors from Mexico City over to Cancun. Should be about an hour and 47 minutes total. We got AIG, AI in the background. Moving around, departure off of runway 5 left today. And we'll get underway. This video is sponsored by Thrustmaster and the TCA Airbus side stick and throttle quadrant you'll see me using today. So a big thanks to them for the hand cam. If you would like to use any of the scenery or textures, all the stuff that I'm using, everything is linked in the description below. And welcome aboard the A320 today. Get the lights up a little bit more here so we can see. And we're going to be going up to 39,000 feet. Actually, we need to come down here and do our perf page here. We have our flight plan already in here. And we're gonna be flaps 1 today, and it will be up on 1.0 is what we're gonna be using for the trim. Throw that in there, and then we can go ahead and go flex of 45, and then we can go V1 of 130, VR of 131, and V2 today of 135. And we only have 8.4 kilos of fuel on board, so we're pretty light, and not a full flight today, so it should be relatively easy to get off the runway. Now that we have that information in there, let's go ahead and bring this thing up to 39,000 feet. We don't have any restrictions on the way out because we're not using any online ATC today. That is the reason why. Altimeter locally is 3020. You can always change that into QNH of 1023, which they probably use down here. So we'll just keep it in that mode over here on the EFB using the latest and greatest version of the experimental build. Actually, not the latest one. This is one before it. And I love the new navigation charts page we have here. Our flight page here that shows us the time that it takes to get there. You'll see that when we get in the air, cost index, all that information, routing. And then here is our weather locally right here. So winds 040 at 4 knots. All right, we're gonna get that beacon light on and turn our fuel pumps on, and we are ready for pushback. Make sure that the doors are locked. There we go. It's nice and closed, and everything checks out there on the door page. So before start checks. All right, before pushback engine start checklist, EFB, we checked that. That's good and closed. Seat belts and harnesses and all that stuff is adjusted. McDo is good to go. External power, gonna check that off and remove it. There we go. We're on the APU power. Wonderful. Pushback clearance is required. We have it already set, ready to go. Tow truck is already good. ECAM. Nose wheel steering disconnect is there. Fantastic. And parking brake, we'll release that for pushback. Checked, we do have our block timer ready to go, and we are pushing back from the gate right now around this American. A lot of Aero Mexico, a big mess right there on runway 5 left. Good thing we don't have to worry about that. Remember, the AI is always in beta, so they're gonna do some stupid stuff for sure, but I made sure that we were clear. That American just came in, actually. And we're gonna go ahead and start our engine. So we come down here and we're gonna go to the start mode selector there. Give that a second. There we go. Oh, you got a Aero Mexico landing. Nice. All right, and we can go ahead and turn engine number 2. That's a good start there, so now we will go ahead and start engine number 1. All right, that's 2 good engine starts there. We're gonna go ahead and go to norm on the ignition. We're gonna go ahead and arm the speed brakes there, and max on auto brake. We're ready to taxi over to runway 5 left. This is a very short one today. Let's go ahead with the flight control test. I've got left, neutral, right, neutral, forward, neutral, back, neutral, left rudder, right rudder. Flight controls are free and correct, and let's get our trim to 1.0 up. About right there. Perfect. Ready to taxi. All right, taxiing down to runway 5 left here. We need to do a cabin check, and we'll do a takeoff config, of course. There we go. Wait for the takeoff kit. Yep, that's good. No blue on that. And we'll double ding this. Waiting to see what this Aero Mexico is doing. He's kind of doing some weird pushback stuff. But here's our runway. Runway 5 left. We're already there. Predicted wind shear needs to come on. And we need to also get this stuff on as well. All the transponder stuff, sweet. And we're holding short of 5 left. I'm gonna check the traffic, make sure we have nobody coming in on final on us here. We'll get this to 20 on that. And we'll go landing lights on. Takeoff, wing light, strobe light. Already got the APU and all that stuff taken care of. Runway 5 left, we'll be lining up in...
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
There you go. I don't see anybody on the flight line, so we should be good here for takeoff. You see some airplanes behind us ready to take off, so we're not gonna delay them any further than we need to. We're gonna hit chrono on that guy. That's good to go there. Sweet. And we'll put you back onto that. We are ready for takeoff. I'm gonna turn my track IR off for this part here as our lineup. And we're gonna go ahead and bring them up to 40%. And we'll go 5 degrees down on the nose. So there we go. And they're stable. And we'll go to our flex. There we go, flex 45. Auto thrust is blue. We have SRS. There we go. We'll be neutral at 100 knots, so I'll just release the back pressure on the stick. Up on V1 and rotate. Nice and smooth back. There we go. Positive rate. Gear up. Blasting off out of Mexico City here. Very cool. Bring our thrust back to climb thrust. And we're getting that nose down, so we're gonna start increasing our airspeed now. We're headed out to our first intersection here, and then we'll be making that right-hand turn from there. We have a departure behind us on the right-hand side. We'll see what he's doing. But while we're in the climb, we can go ahead and just disarm the auto brakes. Or sorry, the spoilers. Auto brakes already did that. And we can turn off this guy and this guy. And we are good on our climb right now. Yep, increasing our airspeed. We're gonna be 15,000 feet before we turn off our landing lights today, since we're at a high altitude airport. There's S, so we're bringing the flaps in and slat speed there. Just a wonderful departure out of Mexico City. Looking beautiful. Still hand flying the airplane. Kind of strange when you're at a high altitude airport like this, because we are already increasing our airspeed instead of, you know, when you're down low, you usually have to maintain that 250 knots for so long, but nope. We love to see it. It's not taking very long to get up to speed. Here on our way out of Mexico City. And yeah, that departure went to the right, as you can see there on the ND. So that works out. By the way, happy Monday to all of you. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I sure did. All right, make that right-hand turn. Here we go. Gonna get back down onto our lines here. Just being real nice and easy with it. I've been trying to get Pack X to work, but Pack X has been kind of a pain in the butt lately, so it doesn't want to do any SIM connecting, so my SIM Connect DLL seems to be in op, and I don't know what happened other than, you know, just updating the SIM. know some other people had that issue as well. All right, roll off on this heading here. And we're at 12,500, so it's a safe altitude now. We can go ahead and just engage our autopilot 1. And there we go, on our way out. There's 15,000 feet. We'll go ahead and get those landing lights to the off position, wing light off as well. Ding them so they can start their drink service whenever they would like. And everything on the overhead panel looks great. Our departure is looking wonderful. We can zoom out a little bit further here and you can see some other airplanes in the vicinity. We're going to Ukuno there and then making the left-hand turn to Omaku. There's 18.5. Let's go ahead and pull for standard pressure. It's 18.5 in Mexico. There we go, looking good. And we're on our way up to 390, looking wonderful. As you can see, we have VNAV working here. That is part of the experimental build. And if I zoom out even further, you'll see, well, when we get closer, you're going to see the top of descent, which is really cool. Love having working VNAV. I've had no issues with it so far. If you haven't seen this feature in the A32NX, I'm going to show you right now. It's pretty awesome. You go to the ATSU, you go to the AOC menu. Most of you already know this, but for those of you that have never seen the weather request function, it's pretty darn cool. You send away for that, and then we'll go to the return menu here, and we'll wait for the received messages, and you're actually going to get a little message that'll pop up right here and say that we received a message. So waiting for that. We're 15 minutes into our flight so far, block time 23. So there's company message right there. And received messages, you'll have the METAR right there. And there it is right there. And you can hit print and check it out. You can come back to this view, look down here, and it will actually print it out just like that. And then once you have it completely printed out, we can click on it and it will put it in a convenient spot to reference as you need it. So just click it, boom, and it goes right there. How neat is that, right? It's been there for a long time, but I haven't flown this plane in a while, so I wanted to show you. After a few bumps crossing over the mountains on the way out of Mexico City, we have made it to the shoreline now, and we are about to cross into the Gulf. And we're going to go ahead and turn the fasten seatbelt sign off so people can move about the cabin all they would like. Wonderful stuff. And we are finally on our way. There's a lure there, and the next place. So we still have quite a bit of cruising to do here, just checking on all the pages here. The bleed system, electric. You want to monitor all this stuff during the flight, and that's exactly what we're doing.
As you begin to settle in, I do want to remind you to please keep your feet and elbows clear from the aisle, as the flight attendants will be coming through the cabin with galley carts shortly. Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating to the front galley where the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
All right, we're at our cruise here, and very cool. They added V1 Sim. He's a YouTuber, an A320 pilot, actually, and also a sim pilot. And they added him to the sound set. So that's whose voice you heard there during the cabin announcement. Very neat. Wanted to say I'm very, very excited for the PMDG 737-700 release. That's imminent, I would imagine. And I will be buying the 700, of course. And, you know, everybody's going to, because they really, really want a high-fidelity airliner for this sim. We have this airplane, and that's, you know, we're getting a lot more that are starting to come out. And I'm excited for the Just Flight, or the BAE 146, the Avro. I think that's going to be really cool. But as far as the PMDG goes, yes, Southwest Airlines still operates the 700. I will operate the 700. I will definitely buy that on day one. I've been having some fun, though, flying the PMDG DC-6, so I'll be making a video on that as well. I want to make sure that I'm decent in an airplane before I make a video on it. And the DC-6 has a automatic flight engineer that really makes your life amazing in that airplane. It's just such a neat airplane to fly. So we will be doing that soon enough as well. I have a lot of different projects for Flight Sim on the back burner that are now moving forward. So that's the reason why I haven't made any Flight Sim content recently. That's because, well, I want to make sure that I am proficient in an airplane before I make a video on it. That's pretty much it. Still cruising along here at 39,000 feet. You can see our block time. We're at 64 minutes now. 56 into our flight, so almost an hour into our flight so far. If we zoom out a little bit here, you can see what's going on. And what I was talking about earlier, that right there, that line is our top of descent. So I plan to descend 20 miles before we get there. That's the best way I have found for the airplane to actually utilize its VNAV capabilities. Otherwise, it wants to really nose down and try to dive for the arrival. So keep that in mind. Yep, I'm still trucking along here. Real world time, real world weather, everything. As you can see, the sun is starting to go down. We might even have a little bit of a sunset arrival into Cancun, which would be really, really cool today. And you can see over here, we're past the halfway point in our flight, so we have quite a bit left to go, but not too bad at all. All right, we're getting closer to our top of descent right there. You can see it's about 40 miles out, so we need to enter our destination data into the McDo. So we can look at here at the weather in Cancun. Winds are 1007 knots, 7 statute miles of visibility. And then we have sky conditions, looks like they're clear, 2822, so the temperature's 28, 22 on the dew point, and then we have 2984 for the arrival. Which we are going to just go with 2984 since it's not going to be in the other mode, which is fine. We'll select that later on. But let's go ahead and put that information into the McDo. So perf page, next phase. Here we are right here. And we'll put the altimeter in there now. So 29.84. We'll put that in for the QNH. Temperature was 22, right? 29, that's what it was. So 29 degrees Celsius. And winds are 100 at 110 at 10 knots. There we go. Throw that into there. And I'm just going off of this one here. Sometimes they look almost identical, so I think they are actually identical. So transition altitude into Cancun's 19,500. And we'll get our information here off of the ILS approach plate. Let's do that now. So open up the approach plate here. And we can see what we're going to be doing. No chart display. Oh, yeah, there it goes. It just took it a minute. All right, looking okay here. Come down here, and we'll just look at the minimums And I'm looking at ILS. We're going to be a decision height of 220, just about 20 miles out from our top of descent. So we're going to go ahead and just descend down to 10,000 initially because we want to make sure the airplane doesn't overspeed below that. So we're going to be okay and push in for the airplane to start its descent. There we go. So you push in for the airplane, pull out for you to control the airplane. And you can see we have managed descent mode enabled there. So we have started our initial descent into Cancun.
From the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen, as you may have noticed, we have begun our initial descent down to our destination. Now would be a good time to wrap up any business you need to take care of as we prepare for our approach. If you are up, once you return to your seat, we ask that you remain seated until the aircraft arrives safely at the gate. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival.
All right, our arrival announcement was made, and I'm having Dr. Pepper and good old Sun Chips. Garden Salsa Sun Chips today was our in-flight food. Very nice meal we had. We're gonna just go ahead and click low for auto brakes today. That's all we need. You have low, medium, or max, and we have plenty of runway getting into Cancun, so low on those. Descent is looking good, and you can see here the VNAV is working as it should. We have the pink box here, and it's keeping it between the limits as it should, and we're not getting ridiculous descent rates either. That's what I was talking about. Getting a descent about 20 nautical miles out before the top of descent, what we would start right now if you were just following the arrow, would get you in kind of a pickle, and the airplane would start to descend rapidly. So that's a good rule of thumb, is just using the 20 nautical mile ring. All right, we are under 18,500, so we can go ahead and push in for the local altimeter. And we'll go over to that, and we were 29er84, so let's put that in there now, 29er84. And that is looking good. You see we are on our descent profile, looking wonderful. 29er84 is good. And she's slowing to 280 because we have constraints turned on now, so we can see that the constraints are showing us that we need to be at Intl here at 250 knots, between 11 and 9,000 there. And then we have 220 for that one, and then Vixie is going to be pretty much the last part of that arrival. Then we get to the ILS approach for 1-2 right. We're doing it basically like we would get vectors into the runway instead of doing the VOR flyover approach. So that is the difference between those approaches. Turn the landing system on as well, both sides. And we are looking good to get those seatbelt signs back on. Let them know they need to get back to their seats, because at 15,000 feet, we're going to turn those. Well, actually, we're going to be sea level, so we'll just do the 10,000 foot check as the normal. All right, coming up on 10,000 feet now, and the airplane is slowing down. We'll be at 250 knots, pretty much right on the money here. And I can release our speed brake and push it forward. Now, you'll notice I have the NASCAR race on because this is Sunday. I'm recording this on a Sunday for tomorrow. And that's the reason why we have real-world weather and time that doesn't make sense to the time this video comes out. So we're slowing it to 220 knots. That's what we want. We're going to keep those speed brakes out just until we hit 220. And then we're gonna go forward on this speed brake lever. So we're almost there. That's looking good. We need to go down to 4,000 feet now. So let's do that. 4,000 feet. There we go. And manage descent to 4,000. There we go. So airplane is starting to descent now to 4,000. And we just need to go down to 2,000 feet is what it's going to be for the intercept for the localizer in glide slope. So we'll continue down to 4 for now because there's a constraint there, and then the airplane's going to slow down. And then we're going to go into our perf page, and we're going to activate the approach phase there. I've been having that issue with this airplane. It's not automatically clicking over into the approach phase recently, so I just double check to make sure that that is actually going to happen when we get to Vixie there. Below 10,000 feet, landing lights come on, and wing lights, and we'll ding them. All right, we're slowing up to 210 knots here at 4,000 feet. We can descend on down to 2,000 here. We're just kind of doing it manually. So 2,000 there, pull out for that vertical speed mode, and about 1,000 feet per minute. Looking good here. We have the localizer starting to pop up here, but we're still a ways out. As you can see, there's the 2,000 right there. And we're gonna get this thing into approach phase here in a second. So I'm gonna go ahead and go flaps 1, and we can put our speed brakes away now. And then we're gonna go down here, and we will arm the speed brakes for landing. That's good to go there. Sweet. Just monitoring systems right now. And like I said, once we get closer to this little section here, that decel spot right there at 2,000, that's where we're gonna double check and make sure that approach phase is activated. Otherwise, it wants to do stupid stuff, and we don't want it to do that. So we'll slow down to 190 when we get there. The runway and airport in sight right off of our 11 o'clock there. And this is the Mako Sim, the new released Cancun scenery, hence the reason why we're flying there today. If you were wondering, we can go ahead and arm the approach, and we'll see what she does here. Cat 3 single, that's good to go there. And we're gonna go ahead and activate approach phase and confirm that. We're at 2,500 on the call out there. Everything is going as it should. An hour and 43 minutes into our flight, so we're pretty much going to be right on time, which is great. Let's slow the airplane down to 190 knots. There we go, like that. Got the localizer alive right there. Wonderful. And the glide slope is coming to us as well as we're holding 2,000 feet, as we should be on that. We'll do a cabin check, make sure they're good to go up here. I usually have to ding this twice to get it to actually do it. Sometimes the first time won't do it, but the second time usually takes care of it. Cabin is ready. Landing gear will come down here in just a few. We're gonna go gear down and flaps 2. Speed check for flaps 2, it's good. We're looking for flaps full on this arrival, and we're going to land the airplane. Good old manual. That's the fun part, right? Yes. So let's go ahead and push this in. So we're managed speed on the way in. Looking good. Missed approach altitude will be at 3,000. We have that set. Disconnect the autopilot, my airplane, with that red button there on the stick. And I've got it here, so we're slowing this thing on up. Ever so slightly. And we're gonna go flaps 3. And shortly after that will be flaps full. So letting the auto thrust do everything it should. And we'll go flaps full now. There we go. Pretty much all set for our landing. I'm gonna go ahead and get my Sky Dolly recording. That's what I use for my replays. And we have a nice arrival happening here into Cancun with the sun just barely going down. It's lovely. And this scenery is actually pretty darn good. I flew it on my Twitch stream the other night, and I was pretty impressed with it. That was a rough, that was a rough flight. We flew into Fort Myers, and the Fort Myers scenery had, it's a payware scenery, but it had no approaches at all. Just kind of strange, so. We We flew in, there was a bunch of low-lying clouds, couldn't see, and they took 3 attempts at an approach to finally get into the airport. But we were able to do it eventually. All right, we're stabilized on this approach. Flaps are full. Landing gear is down and locked. And make sure we have this going here too. Takeoff. On. You're good. Yep, we're good. If you're good, we're good. Bring your nose up a little bit more. Slightly under that glide slope. That's what happens when you look up at that stuff.
500.
I would love if we had a, you know, a first officer in this mod. That'd be amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah, winds are just off to our left at 7 knots, so winds did change. A lot of trees here on this approach.
300. 100 above. 200. Minimum.
Continue. We're landing.
$100. 50. 40.
We're gonna
30.
throw that crab out.
20.
Lean into the wind a little bit.
10. 5.
There we go. Reversers. Bring the nose wheel down gently. We are in decel. Crosswind just came out just a little bit there at the end. 70 knots will stow the reversers, and we'll disengage the auto brakes by touching the brakes, and we're manual braking now. Awesome flight to Cancun this evening. Been wanting to do this one for a while. Make our left turn here off onto the taxiway, and then we'll clean up the airplane. So bring those spoilers in, the brakes here, and we can go ahead and bring our flaps up, and we are going to start the APU. So master switch on the APU, give that a few moments for the flap to open on that guy. And we're gonna be parking just off to the left here at that terminal there. All right, we got our gate in sight right here to the right. Wonderful. Put that on to off, and we can turn right on in here. APU's running, bleed's running, everything's good. Yep, just make a right turn right here. And that is gonna do it. I appreciate y'all joining me for this flight. Like I said, we'll be doing some more flight sim content here soon enough, as I've gotten more proficient in flying. This one for sure. And we're looking for the A320 line. Let's bring it in here. All right, we're at the gate, so let's go ahead and go park and brake on. That's good to go there. And we can shut the engines down, make sure we are good on the APU. We are, so let's go engine 1 and 2 off. Then we can go beacon light off and wait for Microsoft to do its thing. There you go. Beacon's off and seatbelt is off. Sweet. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cancun. Enjoy your stay in Mexico. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.